Yo, yo, yo. What's good? What's good? It's Stormybman, and I am back. Welcoming you to Nerds on Culture with Stormybman for this Monday, January 20th, 2025. This is number 110 in the series of Nerds on Culture, where we cover so much to do with our personalized culture, the Black experience, and Western American culture overall. And our subject for this evening, a Spike Lee joint, the actual first Spike Lee joint, as it was known back in 1986 when it was released, She's Gotta Have It. A film that many years later produced a TV show based on the same characters that at the time when the film was produced, it was considered an art film, but at the same time, a film that took relationships, particularly in the Black community, the experience, took it through a different eye, a different viewfinder. And we're going to talk about that and a little bit more this evening as we cover this. The thumbnail image that you see there is the primary character in the film, played by Tracy Camilla Johns. Nola Darling was her name. And this young lady, you all have seen her in many different projects over the years, but this was a breakout performance for her, and she played the character very well. The character that she portrayed in today's society would be considered a boss B, maybe, but without some of the negative connotations that go with that amongst today's not only slang, but viewfinding. So with that being said, allow me to introduce my co-host of the show. We got Drew Titan in the building with me this evening. What's going on with you, man? How you doing?
It's a little good, brother. Thank you for having me. This is a little bit of nostalgia, this movie.
Yeah.
This came out in 86, right?
Yeah, 86.
I was 11. So I kind of saw this when I wasn't supposed to. Spun the block, saw it again when I was in my teens, and by that time you're in your teens, you're going through things, you're dating a little bit, you're getting to know girls, and there are things that are kind of relatable when you watch films like this. So when I came back around and saw this in my late teens, I was like, oh man, is it shameful or something to be celebrated? I guess it's celebrated in your owning your behavior when you think you're in control of it. But I thought about this movie and applied it to today's modern woman ideology. And actually, on Pep Talk tonight, I will be just keep this in mind, because it's crazy, Stormy, that we're talking about this. Because Pep Talk, I asked the question about Isaiah 4, verse 1. And I'll see y'all later. But it makes you wonder about certain things, I'm not an expert at the Bible, but that fell into my lap and I read it and I said, holy cow. And Nola Darling, this character, she appeared to be in control, and she owned her, let's just call it what it was. She was very promiscuous and she owned it. But there's a lot of twists and turns, and she at the point, from what I remember with the movie, when she made a decision, the brothers was fed up. You know what I mean? But it's the ideology of today's modern women. So when I look at how these women are moving today, this movie comes to my mind. That's why I told you there's, the series that's on Netflix. I don't know if it's still there. Still produced by Spike Lee. Just a little twist on the characters. It's still pretty good. But yeah. I think this is a watch for everybody, because it applies to today.
Yeah. I remember when I went to see this film, it brought to light the view of, or perspective of, what it's like to look at someone who takes control of their sexuality,
yeah,
and their mindset toward relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And when it is optimized from a selfish standpoint. Nola Darling's character was once thought to be the way that a man thinks.
Right.
But it's not that simple. I mean, men and women share similar convictions when it comes down to operating outside of what's been considered tradition.
Yes.
What I liked about this film was, though the film was about her and the subjects involved in her relationships and her life, everybody had something to say about it. You know, it
Yes.
wasn't told from one perspective. And that's kind of weird because Spike Lee allowed each character to have a voice on what's happening. So there's no sense of right or wrong.
Right.
But
right.
it's like the reality is, man, this is how I see it, you know.
Right.
But you might not see it the same way. She might not see it the same way. He might not see it the same way. And she might not see it the same way.
Right.
And it's really gripping when you get to the vulnerabilities of the characters, because Nola operated like she had none.
Right.
But it was a mask because she really did. And she had vulnerabilities just like the people that she was involved with.
Yeah.
She even had a relation with a female character.
Yeah. People forgot.
And,
yeah, her.
Yeah. And see, that's when I talk about she and she, when I mention that, because this could have been looked at as a walk on the wild side for the time that it was in effect.
Mm-hmm.
But people who attended college, and I say that with no disrespect to anyone who didn't, but when you go away to college, it's a time of exploration and you're opened up to perspectives that are much broader than where you may have come from, because you're dealing with people from different parts of the world as well as the country and things of that nature. And that part of that exploration is trying to figure out who you are, what your tastes are or are not. And this particular character,
Opal,
from the film, Oprah, she operated from a perspective of like telling Nola that you're confused.
Yeah.
You don't know what you want, you know. Now I'm gonna tell you something about that. When the guys say something to Nola that is of the same verbiage, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's taken differently.
Yes.
When she says it, because she's a woman, Nola has to kind of pay attention to that a little bit, even if she doesn't like what she's being told. It was so interesting because if you look at the men who she chose in her relations, they were all so different from one another.
Very different. Very.
I mean, a great cast, by the way. One of the main characters,
Yeah.
my brother here, John Canada Terrell. Well,
he's a cool brother. I met him in real life a couple of times. He's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's cool. He was in Harlem a lot. He was mad cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of the people that were in this film have New York roots. You know, it's like it's so amazing. You know, Spike Lee. Excuse me. Spike Lee did a lot for people early on, and this film really spoke about his ambition in life.
Yes.
He wanted to tell stories from our perspective, and that's great, man, because it wasn't happening. It wasn't being done. But this brother here, he was one of those that, just to kind of superficially speak on him, he supposedly had a little bit of class, a little bit of snobbishness about him, and you know, he's a little uppity, you know, and vanity and all of that, you know. And am I because I didn't watch the film recently, I have it in my collection, but am I correct when I say I think there was a point where he tells Nola, I knew I should have went and got me a white girl?
Yeah, when Nola, bro, And you know what? Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something about that scene. Let me tell you something about that scene. That scene in particular. My mother is a huge Spike Lee supporter. Huge Spike Lee supporter. And I remember I came home and it was on, I guess, HBO or whatever. My mother was sitting in the living room watching. And I just, come in the living room, I sit down. And it was on that scene when Nola pretty much gave him his walking papers. And he was kind of like going off for like, hey, what the hell? And he walked off. He kind of like said it under his breath with his back turned. He said, I'm gonna go find me a white woman. And my mother said, there you go. You see? I saw that in him. Wow. But when these guys were giving their background, he pulls up in the car and he said, what's the first thing he said, Stormy? I was the best thing that happened to Nola, darling.
Yeah, right.
The reality was Nola did what she wanted and she basically turned them out.
Right.
She basically turned them out. She was in control. And when she made a decision towards the end of the film and picked one, in my opinion, was the most responsible and well-rounded of them.
Right.
He was sick of her. And it got to the point where it's like, why am I putting up with this? And it was a twist because, and this came out in '86, this movie, it was kind of like an unspoken thing that actually went on in life. This woman was owning her sexual freedom, and all those brothers knew about each other. Right. And it's like you deal with it or you don't. And they chose to deal with it. This brother Greer thought that he'd stand out and walk away with the prize. He didn't. Mars Blackman, played by Spike Lee, who also, if y'all don't know, when Spike Lee played that Mars Blackman a character in the Jordan commercials, he's the character from She's Gotta Have It. That's Mars Blackman. And Greer, I forget his last name. But the other brother, I forget his name too. But all of those men had qualities that she liked. Mars Blackman was the immature street kid, not like in the streets doing bad, but he's immature behind the 8-ball, old enough to drink, but probably still living with his mom. You know what I'm saying? So she liked that in him. Greer was the uppity black dude that spoke proper English, and he was in shape. As you can see, the brother sitting here, he's in shape. And she liked him for that. And, he's one of those brothers that puts out, I got options, but I'm choosing you. But he was never in control of Nola. And I forget the other brother's name, but he was the...
that was Jamie. Jamie Overton.
Jamie, yeah. He was well-rounded, a professional, and an adult.
Yeah.
And, not to give away the film, but just watch the film if you haven't seen it. This is a classic right here. It's a real classic.
Yeah. And the funny part, not the funny part, but the interesting aspect of this, like I said, it gives you the experience from each individual. Yes. It doesn't tell it from one person's point of view.
Right.
So there's no right or wrong. It's like what is. Now, there have been men, charmers, they used to call them back in the day.
Yeah.
Who could have a harem of women, and the women would vie for those guys' services. They would be like, whatever they could do to get, let's just say Tommy for an example of a name. Whatever they could do for Tommy. There'll be one who could cook, keep house well, things like that, run a bath for him and stuff.
Right.
There'll be another one that just wants him to take her out, show her a good time, take her to nice restaurants and stuff like that. Let her be seen riding in his car, because he's driving a nice set of wheels. And then there might be another one where she's kind of sleazy a little bit, and he kind of like that. You know what I'm saying? So if you were to flip it, that's kind of what it is. But what was never shown or told through that type of experience is if that guy would be a down low brother too. You see?
Did you pick that up about him? It was up to be determined. You know, I was like, he didn't get any clues. He did seem like he played for the team, meaning that he dated outside his race. And immediately when she gave him his welcome papers, like I said, he went straight to that. And it sounded like the character said that to hurt her feelings. But in reality, when he didn't generate compliance from her, he immediately in his mind attacked all black women. And that's the kind of brother he was. That's the kind of brother he was. But it was very interesting seeing that. So Spike Lee, but you got to understand, that movie, the characters were very well written.
Yeah.
Very well written. You know, you bought into what they were selling. It was very well written. Even Opal. Opal was very well written. The scene where he came in and he'd say, what y'all was doing? She was like, no, we was just hanging out. Me and Nola have lots of fun together. He said, what kind of fun? You know, every man showed their insecurities dealing with. They liked her like that. They liked her like that. And it was man, there's so many gems. Today, you would call it a roster. That's what Nola had. She had a roster. The foodie call, the guy that gets the nails done, the guy that's the ear. He has all the benefits of the boyfriend without being the boyfriend. He just talks but don't touch. And she's the guy that he's the guy that she screams and hollers at about the dude that's no good, digging her guts out. A lot of y'all dudes, even myself included, have been that guy. You understand? But when you watch this, in every character, there's a lot of brothers that's been that character. And he only nailed it down to 3. Just 3. Yeah. But man, you could watch this and say, man, you know,
they were strong characters too.
That's right.
For the 3 type against type roles that they were very prominent.
Yes.
Let's hang on Mars for a minute.
Yeah, Cooking with Sir. Yeah, that's what we mean by that. That's what we mean.
Yeah. Mars was like the brother from the hood that everybody know. You know, I'll tell you behind the scenes, you know, who kind of reminded. We know somebody today that's this guy. But what's great is that he's so freaking relatable. You know what I mean? And he'll get on your nerves and everything, but you don't mind having him around because he's a great person for good times and stuff like that. But you get the kind of sense and feeling like he ain't gonna never grow up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He ain't gonna never grow up. And Spike Lee played the character very well, like I said, to the degree that he was able to take that character and put him into TV commercials with Michael Jordan and everything in the late 80s. It was so fascinating. Mars Blackman, dude, he was a real strong character. And at that time, when you used to go to the courts and play ball and stuff, you see the brothers out there, they have their favorite team jersey on. I mean, they be dripped out with everything. The top jersey, the bottom jersey, the shoes, wristbands, armbands. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it was ridiculous. These guys look like freaking characters, right? But it's like, it was a real thing. It was a part of culture. People used to really do that crap. And he was there. He was so prominent. Do you remember the scene where he and Jamie was sitting on the bench and he rolled up on the mic, and he was like, yo, what's up, Jamie, my man? And they gave each other a pound, and he was talking to Jamie. He was like, you still talking to them about Nola? He was like, man, he said she bugging, you know? And it's like, they were sitting there and they are so different in their characters, right? It's like Mars was like, look here, man. And then when they spoke about a team, you know, and baseball, I think, and they was talking about what's my man name, the pitcher from New York. Because he was saying that somebody else was the best, and he was like, the best. He was like, yeah. He's like, the best. He was like,
he was talking about basketball.
No, but they talked about a pitcher, and he was saying Mars said something to him. But anyway, long story short, when Mars got ready to break, he's like, look, I'm out. See you soon, brother. Yeah. Slapped him a pound again, and got ready to ride off on his bike. And Jamie looks at the camera and points his thumb at Mars like, this guy's a freaking character. It's like, but it was like somebody you really, really freaking know in real life, man. It was one of the most hilarious moments, but it was so relatable.
Yeah.
I love Spike Lee for making this movie too. And the fact that it was in black and white, Drew, I like that too. The
that's
film
signature.
being in black and white is what, to me, I'm not saying anyone has to share my idea about this, but the film being made in black and white made it a true art film for me.
Yeah. A lot of people don't understand it. There's a scene where they break out in a ballet in the park, and that's the only part in the movie that's in color, by the way.
In color, yeah.
Right, but you understand, Spike Lee is an artist, and it's unappreciated by conventional Hollywood, which is why they didn't like him, but he didn't need him, which is why I supported everything that Spike Lee put out, just off a general principle. But I understood the movie when I got older and ran it back. Like I said, you could relate because at that point in my life, I was like going through stuff. I look back and laugh at it now, but when you're 16, 17, everything seems like it's the end of the damn world when you're going through it. But it's like, man, you know what, man, these are just growing pains, man. And there's something in each character for everybody here that they can identify with. Even
Absolutely.
in Nola, I knew a young lady in high school. Let's just say she was on some Nola stuff. But you know what the difficulty was, Stormy? She was trying to turn it off. And we got a little older, and she watched this movie, and this made her upset.
Mm-hmm.
This film made her upset because she was reflecting instead of owning. She didn't want to own, as we say around here, we used to say, being that chick in the staircase.
Right.
And she was trying to go through it. She's trying to make a change. And it's like, yo, is it too late? Because I done did everyone around the way. You did it because you like it. You don't know how to cut it off. And, you're wondering if people are laughing at you. And, and we were a little too young for you to be owning that. The difference here is Nola was grown and out her parents' house and doing her thing. Do you remember the scene where she had the nightmare? Where those ladies showed up and it was
and they wanted to,
girlfriends, and they set her behind on fire. And she
woke
up
man.
Fire. I was like, oh man, but that's one of those things. And I'm just saying that, this was an in-depth story, and it's a direct reflection to the community and a direct reflection to women's thought process today. They are Nola Darling. But see, at the end, the pipe bomb is at the very end of the film, Nola Darling wanted to change. She wanted to change. She really wanted to be a one-man woman. But at that point, the brother was sick and tired. Right. He was sick and tired, and
that's also a lesson in being indecisive in life. You have to pick your lane,
right,
and ride it. You know what I mean? But at the same time, we all want to have our cake and eat it too. Mm-hmm. But you do have to. Life is about being responsible and owning up right? So it's like that lesson is at the root of this, but it's kind of hard to dig out when you are not looking at things from that sort of perspective. Let's get to something specific about this film with some information I was able to pull up. First of all, salute to Spike, who came up with a tremendous name for his production company, 40 Acres and a Mule.
Oh wow, yeah.
Filmworks. That right there, man, it kind of it put you in mind of where he wanted to go with his projects, you know, going forward. Like I said, this was his first joint. And early in his career, he would enlist the services of his dad, Bill Lee, I think, who was a jazz musician and wrote a lot of the music for Spike's films early on.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, man. And the man was so talented, played on some of the tracks in these early films, particularly this one. Just great stuff. But this film, it was released August 8th, 1986. It's only 84 minutes, believe it or not. And excuse me, I just mute my mic when I cough because I still got this little cough going on. But on a budget of $175,000, this film took in $7.1 million.
Oh man, wait, what was the budget again?
$175,000.
And it grossed how much?
$7.1 million.
That is a come up. That's like putting a quarter in a slot machine and getting $1 million.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
He hit a home run here. And let me say this to any people out here who want to fancy themselves a film buff. If you are a person who sits to enjoy a library of films and you collect, if this film is not in your collection, you're selling yourself short.
Can I say this? And to add to that, and I'm gonna give it right back to you. Brothers and sisters, one of the things that annoy me is when I go to someone's house and, you know, sometimes they have their DVD collection and now Blu-ray. One thing I always see in my brothers and sisters collection, Scarface, Goodfellas, Mobsters, you know, all of those, which were good films, The Godfather, good films. But can you please put the autobiography of Malcolm X in there? Put some Spike Lee joints in there, Do the Right Thing. Another film we should cover down the road.
Absolutely. Do the Right Thing, definitely. Yes. Definitely.
And
I just thought of another film as you were talking. One Night Stand with Wesley Snipes.
Oh man, that was a sleeper, bro. That was a sleeper.
See it?
Yeah, I did. I saw it by accident.
And that's an art film as well.
Yeah, very.
See, there was a time period, I want to say from about 85 through about 92 or 93, that a lot of these type films came out, and there was a huge, in other words, you remember we did our nerd show on the Renaissance, the second Black Renaissance.
Yes.
This was a part of that.
Yeah.
Somewhere along the way, we lost our way. Because when we started getting into things like soul playing and stuff like that, we lost everything.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm not trying to rain on any parade. I'm just trying to let people know, in order to elevate, you got to come up from the mud, man.
That's right.
You really do. You got to raise the level of consciousness. When you raise the level of consciousness, your body has nothing but to follow.
That's right, man. And
you know, if your mind is in the gutter, guess where your butt gonna be?
That's right.
Yeah.
You are a product of what you surround yourself with. And I'm being serious. You know, it comes to the point where, and this is just a sidebar, but it's very relevant to what we're discussing. Today, this evening, I just put out a video about the sudden switch in a certain boxing match. But if you follow my content, I used to put out 2 short videos a day on top of my lives. I just stopped doing it because I'm really like peed off with the business of boxing. I talk about more bad things than good because it annoys me. And that's slowly starting to change, but then we just got some news today which is making us scratch our head. My point is this: you are a product of your environment, and it's okay to walk away from certain things if it makes you feel better, because money's not everything. Understand? Me and Stormy was talking about that just because just before we clicked the live button, and it comes to a point where like you might have to say, you know, let me walk away from this for a little while. Y'all might have that with friends of yours. Okay, you might be hanging with a person tough for 15 years, and then life happens and y'all separate. Nothing bad, but y'all separate due to jobs, or this guy got married or you got married or whatever. And then when you spin the block and y'all connect, like maybe 2 years down the road, you realize certain things, and that person you hang around might be prohibiting your growth, is what I'm saying. Might be prohibiting your growth. You're getting involved in things, you gotten away from that person, and then now all of a sudden you got a better job, your language is better, you're meeting different people, and you realize I'd have never been over here, which is a little better, because my growth was stunned because I've been around this group of people and I love them, but I had to get away from them so I can elevate. You understand? That's why I said that about the DVD collection. A lot of these brothers, you go to, even when you go to a stranger's house, but the stranger is a friend of a friend, and you're standing there, and I always used to look at the DVD collection. What do I see? And these black people, right? The Godfather, all these mob movies. And when it's black movies, I'll see I'm Gonna Get You Sucker there. And I see all this N-word nonsense. But I don't see the autobiography of Malcolm X there. I don't see any Spike Lee joints there. Every movie that Spike Lee put out, there's a message in it. Did y'all watch School Days? Watch it today, it'll make you cringe. When I said on my show, quit acting light skinned, somebody got their feelings hurt. But I meant what I said at that moment. I meant what I said at that moment. But there's a reason why that is a disrespectful term in our community. And I don't like being disrespected. But my point is, what Stormy said, you got to elevate your consciousness. You understand? You have to put on, I like being challenged in my thought nowadays when I watch something. How could this challenge me? I'm going to watch this movie, but if I could figure out the ending an hour before the movie's over, I might not even watch it. Unless it's a superhero movie when I know what happens. You know what I mean? When you watch a Spike Lee joint, it hits home, especially to the black community. All right? You always find a character you can identify with. And it leaves you thinking. When I left the theater after watching Do the Right Thing, I was very frustrated. I was annoyed. Because you got to understand, when that movie came out, we were still coming off of the Tawana Brawley situation. We wasn't clear as to what happened there. We didn't know if she was lying or telling the truth. There was a lot going on in the news. Yusuf Hawkins happened. And in that film, when those cops did what they did, I'll wait till we talk about it. When those cops did what they did in that film, it hit me. It really did. There was people in the movie theater crying. Older people who lived where they saw that on a daily basis. You understand? So that's why, and I don't mean to sound long-winded, but that's why I appreciate brothers like Spike Lee, because he took what's going on in our community and he put it on the silver screen, and he did not need the backing of Hollywood, which is why Hollywood didn't like him. So salute to Spike Lee.
Absolutely. And no, not being long-winded, man. This is why we do this. This is like, again, we talk about our culture.
Yeah.
Our culture is so enriching. It's like, imagine what. This is why I say we have content that we can cover that could outlive our lives,
Yes.
literally. But understand that most people don't like to do anything but mess around with a lot of foolishness, which is okay. Because if you don't want to elevate, guess what? You'll be left behind. We'll keep on climbing to the top. But but this is why we do this. What you just said about Spike, the autobiography of Malcolm X, and you guys have no idea who are young enough to not know this point I'm about to raise. And we will do a show on that film as well, the autobiography of Malcolm X, when we get a chance to do so. Spike fought for the other people to not make that film. He railed against that. He wanted to make the film because he didn't feel that anyone else could tell that experience of that once great man. And I love him to death for that, because sometimes you just have to set your foot down.
Yeah.
They wouldn't let, who can we say? They wouldn't let, who's it? Name a good Italian director or whatever.
Martin Scorsese, is he Italian?
Martin Scorsese. They wouldn't let Martin Scorsese do Schindler's List.
Yeah, true.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like they wouldn't do that. That's why you don't let
them tell our story.
Tell our story. Yeah. You know what's interesting, Drew? If it had never been done and it was today and someone was talking about doing it, they would let it happen.
Absolutely.
They would let it happen.
The autobiography of Malcolm X by Steven Spielberg. It's crazy.
Come on, man.
They do that to us all the time. They make us lighter colored in these films. Man, did you, just a sidebar, did you see that Aaliyah movie a few years ago? It was on Lifetime or something.
Yeah, I didn't watch it. I know of it, but I didn't watch it.
Whoever directed that needs to be hit in the face with a hammer. They made R. Kelly and Aaliyah's relationship seem like it was like love out of a Disney movie. And I said, wait a minute. He was grown. She was 14. What the F are y'all talking about? The woman that they got to play Missy Elliott was some light-skinned, slim woman, and she looks nothing like that. She's a heavyset, short black woman. It was all wrong. I watched about 30 minutes of it, and I said, who's that supposed to be? I was like, no, I can't do it. It's like when they redid Roots, the original Roots, and we should discuss that too. The original Roots
definitely
came out in the late 70s, I believe, or the early 80s.
No, the original Roots came out in the mid 70s.
Mid 70s. Now,
yeah.
Let me tell you why I remember that. Do you remember how and they would hold the baby up and it would show the yeah. My father used to do that to me. He said, you want to do Roots? I'm like, yeah, and then he picked me up. He used to do that to me. But I remember watching my parents watch Roots when I was a kid, and they were so angry. And that was still a light version of what it was, like the slavery. Now, Wendy Williams produced that trash shit. Well, she was going crazy for a long time. No wonder. They redid Roots in the 2010s, I think. And I didn't watch it, but people were telling me, don't watch it. They tried to humanize a couple of the slave masters. So there's just no humanizing that. Like there was one or two white guys saying, no, we can't throw them over the boat. Get the fuck, no. You want to get an idea of what it really was? First of all, go visit the museum, the Black History Museum in Washington, D.C. Go visit that if you care to. That's number one. Number two, go watch Amistad. Go watch Amistad. Give It Us Free. Go watch that. The scene, bro, you saw Amistad, right? The scene when they put us over the boat, brother, I can't take that, bro. That man, I left the theater looking for smoke. I'm dead shit. That's how angry I got. We were done so dirty, man. And if you don't know that about the community, about the black community, this is why I don't like monkeys. And this is why when people try and downplay the history of us in this world, there's a silent rage. But on social media, the best I could do is just block and just not deal with certain people. You dig? But again, to bring this back to Spike Lee, he understands that. And he speaks our story. And white people on the outside looking, and even some Latin people, non-blacks look in and say, oh, he's overdoing it. You know what else, Spike? We should do a Spike Lee joint at least once a month, Stormy.
I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind that at all.
Bamboozled actually is an important part of what we deal with today. Bamboozled. If y'all never saw that, watch it. And I love the ending. You see me smiling, right? Bamboozled. If you haven't seen it, go watch Bamboozled, man. Because the ending was very key. And I agree with it.
Yeah.
Because I was aggravated. Because there's a lot of cats on YouTube bamboozling y'all right now. But I ain't gonna make it that. I know what I'm talking about.
But back to She's Gotta Have It for a moment. There's something else I wanted to mention about this film that I found an intriguing moment. Do you remember this?
Yeah, you know what, bro? You know what? This was a very interesting. There's no man that saw this that didn't think, could I be sitting there dealing with that?
You're right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, remember, I saw this. This came out when I was 11. Spun the Block. I saw it again, like literally maybe 5 years later. I was 16. I was a lot older, 16, 17. And I was able to watch it with somewhat of a relatable eye. Now, not to the point where I'm being invited to a woman for dinner, but as a teenager, I'm looking at that and I'm like, yo, first of all, do men really have patience like this? Do they put up with this? And then I remembered that my older brother, who's 5 years older than me, said, man, you don't know those love songs? And Stormy, it was then I started to think back and say, wait a minute. Stormy, you remember that song, Woman to Woman?
Yep.
Holy cow.
Yep.
And there was a response to that. You remember that?
Yep.
Holy cow. And I know about that because it was on Soul Train, and I forgot the woman that was, it was like a friendly response.
Do you remember the song, She's Got Papers on Me?
Yes.
You see, we were in a different place in time culturally.
Mm-hmm.
This is why you have to watch stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
If in order, because like right now, you could bring three dudes together like this today, but they're gonna be fighting and they're gonna be, it's gonna be disrespect. It's gonna be, but all three of these men, if they had one thing in common, they could respect another brother for being another brother.
Yep.
These days, there's no respect.
The one
None.
thing I did take away from this scene as I got older and reflected, because I was just in shock looking at this. But when I got older, I reflected. I said, you know what I can give these brothers? They didn't attack each other. They knew they weren't the enemy because they didn't have to be there.
Right.
The smartest dude is the dude you don't see. Like, yo, I'm smashing. and we cool. Wait a minute, you want me to come and sit down with the other two dudes? You said, no. Call me when they leave. My goodness, but this was a powerful scene, man.
It was, man, and it said a lot. Even when Nola decided to lay down to go to sleep, did you see?
He laid there, and dude was pacing back and forth. Greer stood up and walked out, and Greer's supposed to be this
Suave, Mr.
Suave
Suave,
player.
everything.
He's over there with a tuxedo, and he just got up and left. He was whooped. He was p-whipped.
Yep.
He was p-whipped. Man.
And Mars, he was like a kid, you know, in some instances. But Jamie, he was a guy that, you know, if you notice, he was the one that was laying across the bed with Nola.
Yeah.
You know, and she was in his arms.
Yep.
It was so telling. But I when I ran across this image, I was like, dude, we got to talk about this scene, you know, because
man,
it meant something. You know, there was a message here. I would love to speak to Spike and ask him, what was it like making that scene right there, and what were the guys thinking, you know, in their real personal lives, as far as where they were, and how did they feel about what the script was calling for them to do? Because that had to be an interesting conversation. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna ask my brother, because my brother did some acting, and that's how I met this brother in the middle.
Okay.
I saw him one time on the train, and my brother was doing a gig, and he was actually leaving the spot. And my brother spoke to him about this film. He spoke to him about this film, and the other film he was in was with Kadeem Hardison with the vampire movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a sleeper too. Death Becomes Her. That was the movie.
Yeah.
And he spoke to him. And he said it was wonderful working with Spike. And I believe my brother asked him about this scene, and he said, "Yeah, you know, he said it was a powerful scene. Yeah. It was a powerful scene. You know, they actually got into it. Like, you know, actors are very particular people. I'll say that. They're in character, man. You know, it's like, man." But yeah, you know, I'll ask my brother, did he talk about anything in particular did he say? But yeah, this was a powerful scene. And again,
Cooking with the Champ. Let me correct him here.
Yeah.
Cooking with the Champ. That's not poly lifestyle, brother. That's not what this is. See, I'm gonna tell you, and forgive me, because I know you're a peer, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but they would have you think something like that. But that's not what that was. This is not what these idiots of today call themselves doing. What it was, and I don't know if you came in late, because we kind of went over that at the beginning of the show. Nola Darling's story is wonderfully written and told by Spike of a play, a twist on relationships when someone has multiple partners that they're dealing with for different reasons, and they can't make, or they're indecisive about making a decision about settling. And it's not about settling, but it's about being definitive about what you want. And I talked about a lot of times you could be introduced to things when you go away to college. Now, if you ask me, one of these men had been to college, and that was probably Jamie. I don't think Spike character Mars went to college, and if he did, it would have probably been City College, if anything. Am I right, Drew?
Yeah.
And as far as Greer's character would be a guy who he could have possibly gone to college, but might have dropped out because he might have wanted to pursue like a modeling career or a career as a fitness trainer or something. It's like there are things that'll sidetrack, and that's what that experience is. You see, because it's more than just saying someone with multiple sex partners. That's if you want to deal with this subject on a surface level. And that's why this film is so important, because Spike understands that this story to be told is far deeper than the surface. Far deeper. And it would be easy to call Nola a 304 because of how women can be today. But in that time, they weren't considering Nola to be a 304. What they were vying for was the love of her. But she didn't have love like that. And she didn't really love herself.
That's right.
Which is why I spoke early in the show, Cooking with the Champ. If you weren't here, I talked about her girlfriend, Oprah. Oprah told her, "You're confused. You know, you don't know what you want." And it took another woman to tell her these things. That's one of the reasons why she ran into the arms of Jamie, because she knew at the core that that's a man.
Yeah.
You know, and she was struggling with things. But by the time she realized she wanted to deal with the man had grown tired.
That's right.
As a man should and would do. Right, Drew?
That's right. Now, the poly lifestyle, the purpose it serves, it goes beyond sexual gratification. Poly lifestyle is a group of individuals getting together, and they're doing things like raising the family, raising the kids, paying bills. It's a well-oiled machine. Sexual gratification, it's not even fifth on things that they should be doing, like that they're enjoying. That's the last. That's the bottom of the totem pole. Poly lifestyle is in reference to survival. You know what I mean? So what she was doing was she was very confused, and she didn't understand that she deserved. Deserve is a bad word. She didn't know what she needed as a woman, and she didn't know what a man was supposed to be providing for her. But in the meantime, while she was figuring that out, she was satisfying her sexual needs, which by today's standards would be her being a 304. And like I said, if you get deep with it, that's what I'm saying. It's imperative to watch the remix version, because all Spike Lee did was update it. Because Nola wasn't exclusive to just there's still three main characters in it, the same characters, they just revamped. But she was outside, as we call it today. She you know, she was promiscuous. But we're in a society where men aren't supposed to feel and things of that nature. And like I said, by the time she was ready to settle down, he was, to put it bluntly, like how my dad say, "I'm sick of your ass." You know, he was sick of her. And by that time she figured out what she needed, not what she wanted, because you could want sex all you want, but what do you need? You need a man. And when she figured out what she needed, he wasn't accessible. And people do that. So, you know, that's not what she was looking at. That's not poly. When people think poly, the first thing they do is jump to the sex thing. You know, I promise you wouldn't want threesomes every night. And this is coming from a man. All right, you can't do that every night. You can't do that corner. And I'm watching my mouth because we're on YouTube. We're on YouTube. You can't do that corner intercourse every night. It's impossible. Sometimes you, like how you feel now, you just want to go home and go to bed. I mean, really think about it, man. You know, and Nola she was substituting therapy with sex. And what she needed was to sit down and talk to a therapist and find out why she felt that way, why she felt that it was okay to act in this manner, you know, that she was acting. And you guys are right. The movie was Death by Temptation. That was the movie. That movie was sinister. Ugh. Yeah. 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 It's Nola Darling is a very interesting character, man. This is a must watch, actually, y'all. If you haven't seen the movie, I suggest.
That's what I was saying. You know, earlier I was saying if a film like this, especially if you're an adult that's over 35 or 40, this should be in your collection to simply have it as resourceful reference material on relationships, and not as a guideline for relationships, but to a clue into the aspect of understanding various points of view when it comes to relationships. Like I said, this film was made on a budget of $175,000 and raked in $7.1 million. Do you know what that means for people who saw this in the theaters? We're not talking about on DVD. We're talking about in the theaters.
Yeah.
And it was an art house release because Spike Lee's 40 Acres and a Mule production company, this was his first outing. That means that nobody even knew Spike Lee then, except for his New York, you know, people and college people. So when this came out, he blew up after this. And as an art house film, that means it didn't even get wide release.
Let me tell you something else. You mentioned DVD. That this is '86. There was no DVD. We had to wait for video cassette, and it seemed like things took forever to come out on. They had to be in the theater, and we didn't get the video cassette release for like a year and a half later. We had to wait forever for that. Or if you had it on bootleg, but bootleg back then wasn't really affecting sales.
Right.
You know, so for him, a budget of 170,000 something or whatever.
175,000.
175,000, and to make $7 million, that's a come up. Everybody got paid. Everyone got paid, and got bonuses. And Spike walked away chunky from that, and he ain't looked back since. And yeah, I want you guys to understand, Denzel Washington was Hollywood already, but he always worked with Spike Lee. He always.
And I'll tell you something. You know, Bruce Lee's Enter the Dragon in 1973 was made on a $800,000 to $900,000 budget.
Wow. And
it brought in over $100 million.
Ooh, my God.
That's the equivalent of what we're talking about here. This is, you know, when people go in, they go in. And this was a situation where you could kind of relate that stories were being told, again, from the perspectives that are relatable, and no one had done this before. No one had done this. No one had told our story. No one had shown interest in our sexuality. No one had shown interest in our culture, in relations. Now think about this for a moment. 1986. This is 2024. What is that? 50 years almost?
Almost.
Think about it, how horrible our relationship status is now. Now.
Ain't that something?
We've fallen so far away from these people, these characters in this film, culturally, that we don't even measure up to who they were at that time as a society now. And that's nothing to brag about at all.
Right.
Nothing.
Right.
In fact, it's downright insulting and denigrating when you look at it and you say, wow, this is what we've come to? Almost subhuman. I listen to Fred from Barbershop Conversations sometimes when he's talking, And he makes this reference sometimes that makes me laugh almost every time he does this. The baby daddies.
Baby daddies, yeah.
You know, that was not really a thing back then.
No.
It was not. And even though Nola character in the film was as she was at least responsible enough to not make anybody a baby daddy. That's something else that flies over the head, because that means that at some point through her dealings with these other subjects, she had responsibility there.
That's and you know what? We was at a different time. Now, it was never a question. It was never even talked about. You know, deletions but for her not to have that conversation anywhere in the film. One thing you could say about her is that whatever she was doing, she was being safe about it.
Yes.
Pregnancy wasn't even a part of the conversation. You know what I mean? So that's we were just so different back then, man. Man. Now, I encourage you to watch when you get a minute, Stormy. Watch it it's on Netflix. It's a little minute.
Yeah,
and it's
good.
Yeah, it's a little serious. It's good. It's really good. And Spike Lee's in it. He's actually in it. So he had his hand.
Still playing Mars or no? He's playing
he's a bartender. They recasted the characters. Mars is now a Puerto Rican. It's a little Puerto Rican kid, but it was still cool. And the ending had me like I was dying laughing. They broke because it gets artsy at the end, and they broke out into a dance. I was laughing at the end. It was funny because they all broke out in a dance in her apartment. It was funny as hell, man. They danced to a Prince song, Raspberry Beret, I believe. It was funny as hell, man. But I appreciate it. But it was like an extended version of the movie, like a reimagining of the movie. But it's still the same premise, the same exact premise. And I enjoyed it. But they hit on the same points. You're gonna look at it a little strange now because Fat Joe was in it, and knowing what we know about him now, just look past that. But it was good, man. I liked it, man. But this right here, man, you can find it anywhere. Get it on Blu-ray. If it's on Blu-ray, get it on DVD, and just sit back and enjoy it, man. And I'm telling you, as a man, you're gonna look at it and be like, damn, could I have? First of all, who do I identify with out of those three guys? And damn, could I have sat there? But when I got older, I said, you know what? I'd be the guy that you didn't see in the film at all. I'd be that fourth guy knocking her spine out of alignment, and she would know the type of person I am. Would you want me to come over to eat? Wait, who's gonna be there? Those other dudes you like that's laying part? No. Call me when they leave.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna be talking to no cameras. I ain't gonna be narrating anything. You like it, I love it. If you busy, I'm busy. You dig? So, I mean, that's just me. But goodness, man, this is a sleeper. If you haven't seen it, please watch this film. It's a great film.
So, what I like to do now is like kind of wrap things up, because I think we've done a good service and justice to bringing this film to light and talking about the characters and what it really meant at the time that it was made and what's so different about today. As we get ready to do that, any final thoughts on She's Gotta Have It, the film?
Again, it's a must-see. Stay out your phone when you're watching. I know some people have a habit of having their phones on or whatever. I don't know what that's. Well, I was born in 75, y'all. Pay attention to detail in this film. And I want you to pay attention to the character and just look at what you see on the internet today. And pay attention to the ending of the film. about how when she finally made a decision, it ain't work out for her. And it's nothing tragic other than when she decided to look for love, it just wasn't there for her because it was in her face the entire time.
Right.
And there was a scene in this movie. I didn't care to talk. There's, you know, a scene I'm talking about. And I just need to say this: that scene that we didn't need to discuss. That's the result when you lead with your body.
Right.
When you lead with your body, she got the result. And I got to be careful how I say this. She got the result that she wasn't expecting. But that situation was her fault because that's how she put out the whole time.
Yeah.
You understand? So we didn't discuss it here, but watch the movie. You know,
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
no way to
absolutely.
discuss that here. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
but watch the movie. It's a great film. Go purchase it on DVD. It might not even be that expensive, but you know, about how long is the movie? About what, 90 minutes, if that?
84 minutes.
84 minutes of your life ain't gonna hurt you. Just watch it. But we purposely skipped a scene in there on purpose because it was kind of rough, you know.
Right. Right.
But yeah, but it's definitely worth the watch, man. But salute to you, Stormy. Great stuff. And y'all make sure, because it's interesting. We're talking about this, and I'm having a detailed discussion on Pep Talk tonight, coming up next. And it's kind of along these lines of what we're talking about in the Nola Darling character as it pertains to real life. So yeah.
Yeah, I want to thank everybody that came out to check us out this evening for this great conversation and look back on Spike Lee's first joint, She's Gotta Have It, from 1986. 40 Acres and a Mule production. It's the film that launched Spike's career forward, and he hasn't looked back ever since. It's a wonderful expression of our culture and relationships within our culture. It's a wonderful thing. So if you haven't had a chance to check it out, please do so. I know the Netflix series was out there. Some of you might be introduced to it from that, but go back and check out the original film and you'll find some real interesting aspects about the sexes in our community and where they were at a particular point in time. Because all of those characters in that film are my contemporaries. I'm of that age group. If you guys didn't know that, but I am. So it's like very relatable and a wonderful piece of culture for us. So we're going to take on off at this time. Most of you that are still going to be online, please take your positive energy over to Drew's Pep Talk. And that's coming up in about 15 minutes. But I want to say shout out to the mighty LDBC, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace to everybody out there. Enjoy the rest of your week.
best grooming products for you, Yes, all natural and handcrafted too. We wanna help be your swagger, your style, class, and luxury. We make our products tailor-made for you with high quality. Yeah, so get in style with the black, yeah. Grooming company, give you swagger, style, class, and luxury. In luxury, yeah. The black gentleman, yeah. Company, give you swagger, style, class, and luxury. In luxury, yeah.
Located at www.theblackgent.com.